Okay, so today we are going to welcome all the new hires that are coming in today to Time Spent LLC, Youth and Elderly Care Services. We're going to go over the policy and procedure handbook. I am your time spent coordinator, Shay, and I am working with you to help you just go over this handbook. I will not be reading everything in detail, but we definitely expect everyone to read over their handbooks in detail. And I'm going to say this because there will be a quiz that you'll be expected to take based on the information that we gave here. So make sure that you are listening. Make sure that if you need to be taking notes, that you are taking notes, because you are now taking care of people. You are spending time with loved ones, with family, and we do have policies and procedures that are here from Time Spent and from the New Jersey Board. So we're going to go over home care policies and procedures. This is our handbook. Everyone will be able to access this handbook on our website, as well as you can view it digitally. Take your time, read over this handbook. Even though we are going to give you the quick version of this today, take the time to read over this handbook, because you do not know what will be inside that quiz for you. So we are Time Spent. We are serving Atlantic County, New Jersey, non-medical. We are a non-medical home care service. We've been in effect since January of 2020. So our CEO is Samara Donegan. And if you need to reach us, just make sure that you visit the website. A lot of you should already know about the website, filled out the application there. Some of you already have, but you can visit the website at timespentllc.com. So let's jump into what we're going to cover. Make sure that you have you're comfortable, because we're going to go over some things in policy and procedure, but this is going to go very quickly. So if you can see my screen, you will see a lot of the things that we will cover during our time spent today. I want to make sure that I welcome you again on behalf of all of our colleagues, our staff, and our CEO. We want to make sure that we welcome you to Time Spent LLC. We're going to wish everyone a successful relationship with us and our clients here at Time Spent. If you have been chosen to be a staff member, a partner, or anything like that, then this is a special occasion for both of us, because we are trying to build a very long-lasting relationship here, and we want people who love people. So please, again, thank you for being a part of our team. We believe in believing in building relationships with people, taking care of loved ones, things like that. And this handbook has been developed just for you to cover and outline policies, programs, and benefits that you are eligible for, and tell you what we're all about and what our mission is. Here is a picture of our amazing CEO, Samara Donegan. She is our founder. She is the one who created Time Spent LLC. From the love that she has for seniors and young people, we are able to be here today. So if you happen to see her in the halls, if you happen to see her show up on a site, please make sure that you show her that, hey, this is the reason why we're here today, and working with Time Spent. So let's go into our organization description. This is actually who we are. We are personal care, daily living, homemaking, housekeeping, respite care, companion, chores. We are a non-medical business. We serve adults who need acute and end of life rehabilitation and long care. That's long-term care. That's who we are. So you may be in different positions in our business, not necessarily just home health aid. Maybe you are some new nurses that are joining our team. Maybe you are some companion care people that are joining our team. But again, we welcome you. Our core is trust, hospitality, compassion, and respect and responsibility. That is how we connect. That is how we make it. And that's how we represent and show up in our communities and with our clients. And we expect everyone who has partnered with us and works with us to do the same. So our introductory statement is pretty much what it is. It's letting you know that this is our handbook, that you should read it, the benefits, how we provide the work, that no employee handbook can anticipate every circumstance. So even though we are going to see some things here and you say, hey, I didn't see that in the handbook, we still have things, that rules that we abide by, and anything that is not here, you make sure that you address someone in human resources or our care coordinator to get anything straightened out. So we have the head office is here for our business. We have that address, our customer relations. Now, customer relations is a valuable asset because again, you are taking care of people. That is what we do. So we have good a good basis when it comes to um, customers in the community, because customers judge all of us based on how we treat them, how we act, things like that. So we always want to make sure that we have a good presence, that we have good relationships with people, because we never know when they may be a client sometime in the future, even down to the people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis. We want to always make sure that we are able to work together as a team, because it is very important that we have good customer relationships and employee relationships and staff relationships. So you represent us in the community. So please make sure that at any time you are thinking of, some of your actions, remember that you are part of the Time Spent family, and conduct yourself accordingly. So let's look at management philosophy. So Time Spent LLC, our management philosophy is based on the foundation of strength, responsibility, and accountability and mutual respect. We are so big on accountability. That is you being accountable for the things that you do, and maintaining a good environment. Each staff member is responsible for one another as well as the things that they do. So if there is ever any issues between you and any team members or things like that, please make sure that you contact the office staff, contact a care coordinator, contact a supervisor. We want to make sure that chain of command is followed, but also that we handle anything of any of your concerns, because you are supposed to work in a safe and friendly environment. So employee identification, this is your badges. These are the badges that if you have the lanyards around your neck or you're wearing clips, you must have your badges on you at all times. You are never to work without your badge, ever, ever, ever. If you are sanctioned or fined, and you can be because you do not have your badge, this is coming out of your paycheck. If a staff member, a nurse, a family member of the client, a care director, someone came in and said, hey, we didn't know who was in the home, because you are supposed to identify yourself at all times with identification on you from Time Spent. So you must have your ID on you. Now, if you have lost your ID, then you can get a replacement ID for $10. So if you've lost your ID, do not go around and then that be what comes out when we see you without any ID. Let your staff member know, let your supervisors know, let your care coordinator know that you have misplaced your ID. If you don't have the $10 can be taken out of your check to get your ID, but you must have an ID. Work uniforms, everyone must be in uniforms. Our policy is for everyone to be in scrubs coming into work. You can buy scrubs for as low as $10, $20 at the Walmarts, at your local stores. If you're not sure where to get scrubs from, please contact the office and ask someone, and we will let you know some places that you can get some affordable scrubs. But everyone, from a nurse to a CNA to a companion care to a home health aide, should be in uniform when in a client's home. Now, your color of scrubs, we would like you to stay within the colors of our business, which is black, white, and pink. But if you want to be happy and have colorful, happy scrubs that brighten our clients' day, please feel free to do so. We are truly okay with that. Your privacy policy is essential. Listen, everything that you do is confidential within your workers, within your staff, within your clients. They are HIPAA laws that are put in effect Okay, employees are not permitted to discuss or otherwise disclose any such information directly or indirectly in any manner whatsoever. Okay, in any manner. You need to keep business to business. You cannot share confidential information of a client. That takes us down to the social media policy, because we know everybody is on social media right now. Everybody is showing everything. Your clients cannot show up on your social media. You cannot post your client's home on your social media. You cannot post your client's circumstances on your social media. You are breaking rules. You are breaking laws. If you want to post yourself, you do as you see fit. Please also remember you represent this business. And the things that you see that you think are connected to just family only are not just connected to family only. People can share and your things go on and on and on. So we want to just make sure that we're very mindful of what we're doing on social media. Okay. It is very important to stay on top of your image. These things will go away, they will go with you forever and ever. So we want to make sure that we are staying on top of keeping our company's interests, because the things that you do reflect us. So we're not saying, hey, we control, how you move, but please control even what you're doing for yourself, on social media. But again, clients, information, names, things like that cannot be posted in your social media. Okay. So this is us cover this first section. We'll take a 3-second and we'll cover the next section. Okay, so now we're going to talk about employment. Employment with time spent is voluntary. You signed up of your own free will. You filled out an application here to get a job, to get employment. But time spent may terminate this employment relationship at any time without notice or without cause. So as long as there is no violation of our terms and policies or any New Jersey laws or county state laws, Atlantic County state laws, then we'll be fine. So that is something that we have to make sure of. We are in a contract as long as you follow the rules of the business, the rules of the city, the rules of the government, that the rules that are connected to us being able to serve. Whenever that is broken, you have breached the agreement that we have together. So we're able to fire you without that. Now, if there is some other reasons why there has been a reason that you may have needed to be let go, we do not have to give reason. That is a part of this, our handbook. So please make sure that when you are onboarding, when you are starting your job and the things with us, that, excuse me, that you follow all policy, that you follow all rules that need to be followed, that you show up, that you clock in on time, that you make the calls necessary, that you do everything that you need to do to maintain your good relationship with us as an employer, with you, with your client, and so that we can always do business together. Okay. Employee relations. Now, this is the thing about this. This provision supersedes all existing policies and practices. If you have any different agreements, then they will be with our care director, Samara Donegan. So that's the only thing that will supersede this handbook, is any written agreements that you have with our founder. Otherwise, this is the rule. The book is where we're at. Employee relationships we believe that the work conditions, wages, benefit it offers to its employees are competitive, and those offered by other employers in this area and this industry. Now, listen, what you're making over here and what you're making over there could be different. Every different business pays differently. You might be getting paid very, very well because we take care of our people here at Time Spent. But we want you to not only feel like you're entitled to that money, we value your hard work. So please make sure that you're maintaining that, the same energy that you came in when you started. We need you to maintain that the whole way through. Okay. because we're going to demonstrate commitment to you. We need you to demonstrate commitment to us. We will never discriminate. Okay. We provide equal opportunity employment. Nothing will be discriminated based on your origin, your age, your characteristics. We hire elders. We hire younger people. If you're able to apply for a job legally and you're still able to serve, take care of people, love people, be good to people, show up consistently, do your job, be able to fit the description of the job that we have in place and get those duties done, then we're good. There's no description. We have no issues with diversity. However, because we have an issue with diversity and discrimination if any of our employees or staff has excuse me has shown that in their behavior, in their words, in their actions. So if at any point you find yourself in a situation with any of our staff, any of our employees, anyone who has discriminated against you in unfairly, treated you disrespectfully, or anything like that, please address that with our care director. Please make sure you let us know. We can't let those type of things slip through the cracks. That is something that we are truly against, is any type of disrespect or unfair, unlawful treatment or discrimination. So please let us know if you have any issues or anything like that, because we are definitely going to make sure that we handle that situation. We select our candidates for employment and training based on their aptitude and ability. So if you see anyone that is working with you, they're supposed to be there. Okay, they're supposed to be there. They're qualified to be there and things like that. So let's talk about business ethics and conduct. The successful business operation reputation of time spent is built upon principles, okay, ethical conduct of our employees. This is big on how we move around. We can't have crazy behavior. We have high standards. Again, how you show up is super duper important because we're abiding by laws, of regulations of the state of New Jersey and things like that. So if a situation arises where it's difficult to determine the proper course of action, the matter should be discussed openly between management and the employee for advice and consultation. Now, we got to work this out. So we will always make sure that we find some resolve depending on based on what is going on. Okay. Now, we will work things based on our ethics, based on what our rules are, based on what our policy is. Now, some of it could end up in possible termination, but we will make sure that we do every bit of due diligence prior to that to make sure that there is some resolve, because we want to make sure that you are in a good place working for us and we are fair to all of our staff. Now, personal relationships in the workplace, hey, whew, listen, you can't, we'll never say that you can't have relationships with people that you end up working with on a day-to-day basis. But what we will say is they cannot be displayed while you're in the workplace. Okay. And please maintain as much as you can with these relationships, because some of the brunt of these relationships could spill over in the workplace. And we don't want our patients having to be uncomfortable in their situations. We don't want our patients to have to deal with anything that you have going on in your personal life. So your personal life, if you have a relationship with someone in the workplace, must stop when you clock in. There will be hugging and kissing on the job. There will be no displays of affection while you're at work. There will be any of that while you're at work. But we cannot, dictate who you end up having a relationship with. We just need you to be very mindful of what you're doing. And if it seems like it's going to disturb our clients or disturb the day-to-day activity that we hired you for, then a resignation may be asked for, or someone may be dismissed from the job. So we want to make sure that you keep these relationships, away from employment. That's super important. Conflicts of interest. Employees at time spent have an obligation to conduct business within guidelines that prohibit actual or potential conflicts of interest. This policy established only the framework within time spent and wishes the business to operate. Now, this is the thing. You're able to work and participate and do jobs as you see fit. But say, for instance, you said, I want to go work for another home care company. Okay. Now, as long as that job, and we ask up front, because that's a part of our policy, that you let us know that you're working for another home care company. We ask up front that you let us know if you are working with another job. Because if this job comes and runs over into the job that you have now, maybe you're coming in late because you're working too much over there, or you're tired from what is being done over there, then now it's starting to pour into your work over here. So we can actually ask you to resign or dismiss from this job because it's interfering with your work over here. Now, if you want to carry 2 or 3 jobs, wonderful, do as you will, but let that not affect the performance that you provide here at Time Spent. So that's the only thing that we ask you to be mindful of, is that you have the capacity to maintain excellence in both spaces, right? And that we want you to actually just, and when you see things, being heavy on you, that you move accordingly, and we are not punished for this new decision to pick up this other job. So if you do that, please let us know. We want to work with you, but we don't want our clients to suffer, because now you're showing up tired. You don't want to do what you were doing before, so we don't want our clients to suffer because you need to make the extra money. So let us work with you, to either shift some hours, do some things need to be done, but we want to know if you are working outside of our job. Now, one of the things that you're not able to do is work for clients outside of us, the clients that you are working with for us. We will have you sign a non-compete. So you will not be able, excuse me, excuse me, you will not be able excuse me, you will not be able to, all right, you will not be able to work for the clients that you are caring for. So there will be agreements signed. So if you go to the clients and try to do the work outside of us, there will be legal recourse, because there will be a non-compete clause signed when you first start your employment. Non-disclosure, any trade secrets, any documentation, anything that you've signed, anything that you've worked with while you've been working with us belongs to Time Spent. So you are not to share that information, take that information to someone else, and we can take legal action. Now let's talk job postings. We do hire within. So if we do post the jobs, there will be jobs that we will look in-house with first before going to someone else. But in the time that there may be job posting that we will not look in-house, because the candidates in-house may not have the qualifications to work this particular position. And if we already know that that particular job may not be posted in-house. So some we will post in-house, but we will always look within our staff first. Our whistleblower policy, never be afraid. Never be afraid to tell what you see. Never be afraid to, because we want to make sure that people are taken care of. So if you are watching someone doing something that they should not be doing in a client's home, taking care of a client improperly, even down to maybe not handling a client with care because they don't know how. Because this can go into training and not necessarily go into them doing something wrong, but just not know how to do it properly. Let us know. We will not give your name. We will come in tactfully and make sure that we take care of the situation, but we have a policy that we want you to share. So our door is always open. We have an open door whistleblower policy. You can always share. You can email the information, whatever it is. You do not have to attach your name to it if you don't want to, but we want to know what's going on within our house, even within our staff. If you are working with a supervisor that is not handling things in a professional manner, we need to know. So make sure that you let us know, and we will handle that with care. All right, employee categories. It is our intent to clarify. So let's clarify categories, right, for each employee. Our regular employees are everything that's over 30 hours. If you over 30 hours a week and you full time, then this is if you hired as a full time, because you can still be a full time independent contractor or a W-2. So there is still full time, but we consider full time regular employees is employees who work over 30 hours. Now you can be a regular part time, and that is someone who is under 30 hours. Now, your benefits and the things that we offer, those are offered to employees and not independent contractors. If you are an independent contractor and no taxes are being taken from your check, then you may not be eligible to get any kind of benefits. If you are a W-2 employee, then you would talk to someone in human resources about what benefits could be offered to you as a W-2 employee. We have initial employment probation. When you first hire, you are under probation. You are in probation for 90 days. So your pay rate that you were hired at may be different than your probation rate. So if you were hired at, we're going to give an example of $17 an hour, $20, whatever that looks like. Your training period could be 17 and you may not get the full 20 until your probation is over. Make sure that you check this when you are hired, because there is a probationary period. There is a period of time that we have to make sure that you are getting things right, that we have to make sure that you're coming in on time, that you are following protocol, all of these things before you actually are a regular employee or subcontractor. So make sure that you ask the question when you are hired about your training pay or probationary pay and your startup and your initial pay, because everyone who is coming through will have a probationary period. We have contractual workers, which is your independent contractors, or someone who could be contracted for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. It all depends on what you guys' terms are when you signed up with our human resource department. Casual employees, they're on call. They're PRN as needed. So if you are a casual employee, you can be an independent or you can be an employee as an independent. And that is just that, your time with us is unpredictable. It's based on whenever you decide to accept an assignment. And that's how you're noted in our system. So if you're not sure where you stand in these spaces, contact someone in human resources. Your employment applications, make sure that we put all the correct information, because they will follow you when it comes to us looking for information, relying on references, things like that. So if you filled out an application online or in person, you wanted to make sure that all that information was accurate. Access to your personal files. Each employee will have a file. We will have information. Your identification will be on file. Every employee, independent contractor or not, will have a file with us, and you will have information, whether it's your W-2 or whether it's an I-9. You will still have all your information, identification, social security, whatever's required in that space. So let's look about what would be in that file, from your application to your background checks, because everyone must get a background check. Everyone, that is no exceptions. Acknowledge of the policy that we're going over today, your training, any certificates that you have from us or from other places, your emergency contact, your tax forms, your eligibility to work, documentation of qualifications. Now, orientation, training, evaluations, any qualifications that you have, we'll make sure that we look at that's required by New Jersey laws. Now, again, this could be for our nurses, depending on your position in the business. Date of first supervised contact with client and date of first unsupervised client contact. So this is the thing. You'll have the date that we go in and introduce ourselves. There'll be a space for that with you and the client. And then there'll be a day that you go in hands off on your own. So we'll have that in your file, and any leave of absences that you take along the way. So each employee has a responsibility to notify us of any changes of any information. If you've caught a felony in the time since you started, we need to know that. If you change addresses, we need to know that. So these are some things that we just need to make sure that it's in our file. A competency evaluation. behavioral, situational, technical questions. We'll want to get to know you. So every worker's application will have a competency evaluation, a skills test, because you are in the industry of taking care of people. So we just have to have a refresher that you know what you're doing. So again, employee training. Now the employee training will be based on how long you've already been in business before, because the Department of New Jersey Board of Nursing currently sets them and maintains the necessary standards that in the home care industry, that we have to make sure that you are compliant and you maintain certain information and training every year. So we need to know if you've been working in another home care company, what kind of training and additional training that we provide or ask you to do will be based on some of the experience that you already have. So you will get a performance evaluation. Your supervisors will give you a performance evaluation on a regular basis here. So it will just not ever be just one and done. We will always want to make sure that our clients are getting excellence. That is very, very, very important to us. We will give reevaluations. Okay, so certain times of the year, that one can be based on client interaction, one could be based on how you're doing your paperwork and turning your stuff in. So you may have different evaluations throughout the year based on stuff that you are doing. Okay, and based on whatever your job description is how your evaluation will accommodate what's required. So everyone's will be different, again, based on their job description. And you can talk to human resources if you want to know when those evaluations would be. Your salary, again, it's based on the time that you've worked, your past experience. Quite a quite a few factors is in your salary. So that compensation for every position is determined on different things: responsibility, competency, things like that. Raises are based on how you show up, timesheets, how you complete, are you making your calls every morning? All of this is also determined when you get raises. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of everything, especially if you want bonuses, right? If you want your pay rate to change and to increase, you have to make sure that you stay complying. You're showing up, you're in uniform, you always got your badges on, you're making your calls in the beginning when you come into a client space, you're making your calls, when you're supposed to leave a client space. Everything is doing, you're doing the work the way you should. So then you can expect bonuses from time spent. We have a benefit program. Again, if you are a employee, this is W-2 benefits, then you can work with getting benefits. Now, if you are W-2, talk to human resources, because we will sign you up with the Affordable Care Act. We will sign you up with different things to get some type of health insurance. But again, this is if you are a W-2 employee. Vacation pay, again, this is for W-2. This vacation pay and things like that's related to this own does not they are not for independent contractors. So all of this here, from the eligibility excuse me, to any of that, has nothing to do with the independent contractor. Now, your religious observance, if you are Muslim, if you are Jewish, and you observe certain holidays, certain times you need to be off, you need to let us know. We provide 7 days for you to be able to take care of any type of things that you need to, but you cannot come on the day before and say, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. If this is part of your religion, then you knew way before that you had this going on. So please, work with us so that we can work with you. Time spent does recognize all holidays. Okay. So yes, we will look for you to work the holidays. Now, this is the thing. Everyone won't work the holidays. If you come, when you first hire, you will be asked, can you work certain holidays? And you will be paid accordingly if you work the holidays, because remember, we are dealing with people. So unless the family member is going with other family members and they're not going to be there, there will be service provided on the holiday. So if you are one of those people, let us know in the beginning. If you say, you know what, I have a full family, I go XYZ, then we'll find someone to step in your space. But there's nothing wrong with that. But we do work holidays. So if you are asked to work holidays or expected to work holidays, do not be shocked. You would have to let us know that you are not able to work it, because these are people, the holidays do not give them the day off from care. So um, we do have people who say, hey, I don't really have any family, or I don't plan to go anywhere. I like to go over there and take care of such and such. So if you're that person, then amazing. We love that. Please let the office know, because we do honor holidays. So if you are able to work, you'll let us know. Put the dates, the holidays that you are able to work, put the holidays that you're not able to work. But we'll definitely need to know. But if you are able to work the holidays, we'll definitely make sure that you get paid time and a half extra, all that good stuff for working the holiday. Okay. So all right, make sure that's on mute. Workers insurance, again, that's for you W-2 people. For our employees, it is not for independent contractors. So sick leave and benefits, again, that's for employees. If you are a regular employee getting over 35 hours a week, if you've been with us for at least 180 days, then you can look for sick benefits to come in. So, and that's us giving days off, and then you have to be with us at least 180 days to even qualify, and you have to be a W-2 employee to be able to qualify. Bereavement leave, if you have family members that have passed and you need to take off, please let our office know. You need that time off. Any of the time that you need off, whether you're independent contractor or not independent, that's fine. Just let us know. We do offer relocation benefits. If you decided to relocate to another area for us to take care of someone, or if you decided to relocate to one of our other locations or anything like that, we do offer relocation benefits to W-2 employees. Okay. We offer a educational assistance program. All right, because we want you to know more. So we're going to make sure that we have things. We'll soon be adding some additional downloads and things to our website for you to maintain additional education in this space, because we need all of our employees to improve in the jobs that they're in and enhance their abilities, right? So our regular full-time employees are eligible for educational assistance, but you definitely need to check with human resources, okay? You need to be able to be a full-time employee to get any of the additional assistance. Now, professional development, talk to our managers. We want to attend our conferences. We want our supervisors to be better. So if you're in that space, we're going to always make sure that we help you be great in leadership. So if you're a manager, if you're a care director, we're going to make sure that we pay for courses and things that help you be great for us and even for yourself. So those are paid for our full-time staff that are care directors and things like that in this space. Again, health insurance is for our W-2 full-time people that are doing 35 hours a week and have been with us for 180 days. Same thing with life insurance. You must contact human resources. Long-term disability, please contact human resources. Maternity leave, and this applies for our regular employees. Now, some contractors may take the time. They will not get paid for the time or anything like that, but you can definitely take the time if you are a subcontractor. We even acknowledge, unfortunate miscarriages, because I know that they do take a toll mentally, physically on the individuals, on the families, things like that. So if you are staff and you have an issue with that, or you can call the office. Special maternity leave, call the office. Birth or child adoption, because we've had a few amazing staff members that are into fostering children and adding people to their family. We know that is a job and requires some time off for that. Again, this is only if you are 35 hours or more and you are a full-time W-2 employee. We'll pay for 1 day off for that. Timekeeping. This is the thing. Now, this is a part of you getting bonuses, you getting extra money, things like that. If you are not calling in, because that is how you are to keep time, right? You won't get paid. Okay. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that they have to keep up with their time. No tampering with records. or anything like that, because it's not finished the timesheet after the fact. We will go by what you turn in. And if your timesheets are not completed properly, that is not our fault. We will pay based on what is there. And if there is an error, you will have to wait. We will not cut immediate checks or anything like that. It is your responsibility to keep up with your money. Okay. We pay every Monday. You will be paid in a paycheck unless you sign up or until we start direct deposit. You will be paid in a paycheck. Now, for instance, if you make sure that you keep all things that will help you cash a paycheck. If you're not able to, then you'll just be holding checks. So I need you to make sure that you're able to have a bank account, or you're able to go to our bank. You will pay whatever fees you have to pay to get your checks cashed until you have your own bank account. So make sure that you have a bank account so that your checks can be deposited in your bank account. Okay. And if you are ever not pay the right amount, it will be paid to you at the next pay cycle. We will not cut checks in the middle of a week for not filling out your time schedules properly or for missed pay. Travel reimbursement, if you are required to travel far, performing travel situations with clients and things like that, we will make sure that you're reimbursed, for those things. Or if you are doing something extra with the client and you've contacted the office and it's been approved, then we'll make sure that you get reimbursed for those things. If you went out, say you had a client and you went out with them and you did XYZ, and the office says, okay, that's fine. You went with done these activities, and this is what you spent. As long as you have the receipts and things like that, and able to prove to us, not all the time, but based on if the office gave you approval prior to you going, you may be reimbursed. So that is based on a case-by-case basis, and that is definitely something that you need to talk to the office if you're doing extra things with the client, because we want you to do these extra things with the client, but we got to also make sure this is legitimate things with the client as well. And sometimes our families will ask some of the nurses to participate in some of the things, right? So any kind of corrections, again, we're going to make sure that we get them straight for you. Make sure you turn your time slips in. Employees, make sure that you turn your time slips in every single week. Every single week. We really want them in before Wednesday. If you turn them in later and they're not in by payroll, then you may wait a week. And this is what I'm saying to you right now. So if your time slips are late, we will not cut checks midweek. We will not cut checks midweek. You will have to wait to the following pay period. So please make sure you get your time slips in. If you feel like you are running behind, screenshot them in, get them into the office, and then meet up or leave the originals at the client's home or get them to a supervisor. But you have to get them in order for you to get paid. Work conditions and hours, you work your schedules. You work, if your schedule is 9 to 12, then you are there from 9 to 12, not 9:15. You are there from 9 to 12. You are expected to be on time and work the hours that you are asked to do. We do not guarantee hours, but we do provide hours, specific hours to you, and we do expect you to work the hours that you've accepted. You will have your schedule by Thursday of every week if something changes. If you have a regular client, then you would already know what your client's hours are. If you are someone who is on call, then you will get a schedule or additional hours, or if you're picking up hours, you'll know by Thursday. Now, if you're just on call random, then someone will call you in a certain window of time. But for the most part, you'll have your schedule by Thursday. Again, we're making phone calls. So if you're clocking in every morning, right, in our payroll system, you're going to make calls from the client's home to check in. You're going to always call in to check in. And in that check-in, you're going to 3 things that you're going to let your supervisor know. You're going to let them know your name and your client's name. You're going to let them know, give them an update of the client, and you're going to give them a well check. So the well check is the update of the client. Everything's good. You came in, all of that. and then everything is, you're good. So you want to make sure, and you're clocking in. So you got to let them know, because if they don't know that this is a clock out or a clock in. So it says, if you're saying, hey, my name is Jane Doe, I am with client XYZ. Everything here looks good, blase, blase, blah, and I'm clocking in. Those are the three things that you want to let the supervisor know when you make the call. Because at the end of your shift, you'll call again. Now, mind you, because this supervisor is getting many calls from other staff, that's why you need to know. So do not call and just say, hey, this is Jane Doe, I'm clocking in. So Jane Doe don't know who you're taking care of. We don't know who Jane Doe is taking care of. You must say who the client is that you're taking care of. So when you do your call-ins, I'm Jane Doe, I'm taking care of Ms. Brown, I'm clocking in, she's doing excellent, there's nothing here, I'm about to feed her, whatever you want to share with your supervisor at check-in. But that is how the call should go. If you want to say everything is good, everything is good. But you must make that call in, and those are the three things that you must say when you call in. Overtime and compensation. If you're doing overtime, we're going to make sure to pay you if you're doing overtime. Now, if you drug your feet getting some things done, no, you won't get paid for that. But if you have, if we've asked or requested and you've accepted, we're going to make sure to pay you overtime. If you went AWOL on a client and you do not report, or you fail to do your schedule as complied, you will be disciplined and possibly fired. So that is what AWOL means. That means that you didn't let us know. You stopped working. We didn't know if you was going to show up. We didn't know if you was going to clock in. We didn't know what was going on. So if you are taking off, if you're not able to make it, we need enough notice to be able to stick someone in that schedule. Sick days, let us know. This is for employees who are W-2. You're granted so many sick days per year. Personal days, you're granted so many personal days per year. Unexcused absences, this is the thing. If you have had, I'm talking about, you're calling us and you're saying my car broke down, I can't get a ride to work, and you've had 6 or more unexcused absences within a 3-month period, you may be taken off the schedule. You may be even fired. But first, you may be asked and taken off the schedule or put down to part-time, because that means at least twice a month we're having some kind of an issue. 6 unexcused absences is a lot, because that's like every 2 weeks we're off for an unexcused reason. Now, we're not talking medical visits and doctor's notes. We're talking unexcused absences. Excused absences is when you come with a doctor's note. When you have a doctor's appointment and you have a doctor's note and he excused you. So those are the difference. Client not home to receive service. So when a client is not home for a scheduled shift and has not provided us at least 24 hours, right? We're going to make sure that you get paid at least 2 hours. This is if we have went to a situation, and this rarely happens. But if you went to a client's home, maybe the father snatched up the sister or the daughter or whoever you're taking care of and did not notify us. We're not going to let that time that you spent going over there go into vain. You'll still get paid 2 hours. Now, unless the employee has if it's the same day and they didn't give any notice, they gave us notice, we'll give you the 2 hours. If they didn't give us any notice and we just showing up, then they're going to have to pay us for the full shift. We're going to pay you for the full shift. But it just really depends on the circumstance. So you want to make sure that you address that with the office. We are, if you happen to be working remotely, now you are automatically going to be working remotely because you're working in a client's home. So you have to always maintain accurate records. You always have to comply with regulations. You always have to make sure that you're working in a safe, free, clutter-free environment, and never allow other people into that person's home, ever. Understand your policies, be responsible for any equipment that you have that belongs to us, and make sure that you take care of that person, and make sure that you arrange your day that it doesn't interfere with anything that you're doing. Even if I'm talking about on the phone, anything like that, it should never interfere with how you're taking care of our clients while you're working. Emergency closures at any time that we're closed for severe weather, things like that. Our company is just not going to be able to work. We're going to let you know that we're closed. If you're scheduled and we're taking off, we're going to let you know that we're closed. You're available. You're able to use any paid leave time that you have or any vacation benefits. Again, this is for our W-2 employees. Now, workplace monitoring, we're going to make sure to monitor. You're going to be in homes. A lot of times they even have cameras, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing your job. We want to make sure that we're going to stay on top of things with our clients. So just know that the eyes are always watching. The eyes are always watching, okay? You may be asked to have a phone call and someone asks you a follow-up to see how your client is doing, okay? So certain staff will have computers, certain supervisors may have tablets to be able to so we can actually see clients. It all depends on the position that you're in, but just know that we are definitely making sure to stay on top. So you're not surprised when someone say, okay, this is what was recorded of you. Don't ever be surprised because we're taking care of our clients. Security inspections, we're going to make sure that your environment stay free of drugs, alcohol. You are never, ever, ever to bring these things into a client's space. Ever. Alcohol, firearms, cigarettes. I mean, improper stuff, illegal stuff, alcohol, improper materials. Any of that stuff is never to be brought into a client's home. So storage, any of that stuff, you want to keep it in your car. Just keep your things. If you have that kind of stuff going on, just make sure that is in your car. If you find certain things in a client's home that you find that you're not sure about, firearms or any of that, just make sure that you contact our care coordinator so that she can make sure to get that into a safe space so it's not out for you, or talk to the client and see what is it supposed to be there. There is such thing as workplace etiquette, okay? That is big. You being able to show up, be polite. A customer should never be scared to ask you questions and say things to you. So workplace etiquette is very important, okay? Conducting the things that you're supposed to do while you're there. So there's no unauthorized telephone calls. There's no secrets of confidential information. Their business is their business. You are never to violate their personal space or the policies, right? We won't tolerate any of that. There's no such thing as visitors in the workplace as far as you're concerned. Now, the client may have as many visitors as they see fit, but you are never to bring someone to a client's home. Your children, your aunts, your uncles, your husband, no one is to be in to a client's home ever. So we also want to make sure that we're maintaining safety standards and we avoid any disturbances. So you are there to do a service, but your clients are not to have other people that you bring into the home, okay? So let's talk workplace violence prevention. No violence in the home. No anger, no yelling, no screaming, no fighting amongst staff and customers. None of that. We don't want any of that. No harassment. No, if you find that you and your client are just not getting along anymore, please contact the office. If your client is being irate to you, please contact the office. If your client swings on you or do anything that can put you in harm, where you even possibly want to harm them back, call the office. Do not swing, do not fight, do not yell, do not have a confrontation with the client, with a staff member, with the supervisors. Please remove yourself from that space and give us a call, okay? We just want to make sure. And sexual and other lawful harassment. We just need everyone to be free of any kind of jokes, any kind of words, anything that may hurt someone's feelings, anything that will make someone uncomfortable, anything that will make someone offended. You don't just talk inappropriately. We have to be very mindful of the spaces that we're in, the things that we say, the things that we do. There's a such thing as verbal abuse. So words have power. Okay, so please be mindful. And at any time you see these things going on, harassment or anything, please advise us in human resources or our care director, Ms. Donegan. Let her know. We will not tolerate any such thing. If anyone is engaging in any sexual unlawful harassment or anything, we will terminate them. So you got to let us know if you see anything going on. Attendance has to be punctual. I need you to show up. If you can be there 15 minutes early, amazing. But if you anticipate you being tardy, call the office. Do not just show up on site late. I repeat, do not just show up on site late. Okay? Do not just show up on site late. I'm going to say that 5,000 times. Call the office. I'm running 15 minutes behind. I'm running 30 minutes behind. Be mindful of that, because you're not sure if what needs to be done, or if a client is there waiting, if a doctor is there waiting to get in, if a nurse is waiting to have an assessment. We need to know if we need to run someone there. You need to let us know. So we're big on attendance, punctuality, things like that. Your personal appearance, please be groomed. Please be clean. Please show up like you want to work. Be in a clean uniform. That's very important. No sleeping at work. If a supervisor, the cameras, anyone catch you sleeping, you're going home and you're not getting paid. Consider your sleep as you clocking out. Consider when you close your eyes on a job, consider that you clocked out, because that's how we'll look at that. It does not pay you to sleep while you're at work. We won't do that. So there's no sleeping at work. Cell phones. Now, we're going to ask that you exercise discretion at work. Your phone should be on mute at work. Even if you decide to make a phone call out, a client shouldn't have your phone ringing in a house while you're at work. That's just not what we should do. Excuse me. A client should not have your phone ringing while at work. It's just not what we do. So it should be on mute. And we're going to hope that you are not putting the client second while on social media, doing different things, because you're liable, what I'm saying, for what's going down while you're on this client's time. Now, what we're not liable for is any lost cell phones or anything that while you're in that space, because you shouldn't be on it while you're in that space. So it won't be, well, I left my phone over there, blah, blah, blah. It shouldn't even have been, an issue in the home. So if it's in your pocket, if it's put away where it's supposed to be, that's where it'll be when you walked out the door. But if you had it all through a client's house, and it's not there and you lost it or misplaced it, then that is truly your issue. So we ask that you just use your discretion when you're in a client's home when it comes to the phone. No vaping in a client's home. No, no, no. No vaping in a client's home. Not in a client's home. Period. You vape outside, you smoke outside. But we will not bring any of this into a client's home. Any of your extra things that you do is your personal things, and you are not in a personal space at that time, and we won't subject our clients to it. So drug and alcohol is the same thing. It has to stay out of the client's space, home. Any misuse of it, if it impairs your judgment while you're coming to work, then we'll have to have a conversation with human resources, and you may be taken off of an assignment. So please kind of keep all those things away from what you're doing. Now, this is the kicker about this. If in the beginning of your onboarding, because this is not your onboarding paperwork, you will be asked to sign a drug testing consent form. That drug testing will not comply and will not be brought to you unless you have an incident at the job. So you are free of any drug testing unless you have an incident at the job. So as long as you have no incidences and you show up like you're supposed to, then you have no problems. At any time, what you're doing on the outside falls over to the inside, then we have to comply and we have to jump straight in and take care of our client, okay? Same thing. You're in a space that New Jersey allows cannabis use. Wonderful. Do your thing, but you will not do it in a client's home, and you will not do it on a client's time. Okay? It is strictly prohibited. Prohibited. Right? While in a shift, on a shift, any of that kind of stuff. Now, employees are responsible to return any additional things that we gave you. So if you got a blood pressure cuff, if you got this, if you got that while working for us, and your employment is terminated for any reason, then you will not you will be asked to return the property, badges, all of it, if you in employment. There's employee client boundaries. Okay. Clients are mutually understood, unspoken physical, emotional limits, the relationship between the trusting patient and caregiver. Listen, professional boundaries represent a set of culturally and professionally derived rules of how our employees and our clients interact. So they are boundaries with what we're doing with our people, right? And sometimes you're going to form bonds with the people that you take care of. But you always need to remember that these people, we work for them. So you always have to maintain provider-patient boundaries, okay? And always be professional all the time. So let's talk about if they're ever crossed. These are signs if they're crossed. Main warning signs and examples of potential if you blurred the lines, okay? Now, not to say that it's a you might get rid of or fired, but this is when I want you to know that you're blurring the lines of policy. Gifts giving from or to the patient and the family. So now we're going over boundaries because gifts is crossing boundaries. We like gifts. Clients like us. But at times, a same thing that was offered as a gift, I've seen be said by family, it was stolen. So we have to make sure that we maintain boundaries. Small gifts, lunch, things like that is one thing. Big gifts, furniture, coats, money is a whole nother thing, right? Clients have or wanting access to provider's home or phone number or other personal information. Do not give clients your phone number. Do not. Do not. Do not give clients your phone number. That is crossing professional boundaries. Client family expectations that the provider will provide care or socialize outside of the settings. Again, that is boundaries, because now when you're off, you're expected to do stuff that you're not getting paid for. There is an expectation set. The provider revealing excessive personal information with client and family. Those are too many boundaries crossed. Now, common reasons for boundary problems include personality styles, psychiatric disorders in which normal boundaries are not recognized or respected, health professional stress, burnout, or cultural misunderstanding. So those are sometimes that you cannot even know that boundaries are being crossed. So we just want to make sure that we're compassionate, we're understanding, reinforce trusting relationships while still maintaining a boundary, right? And everybody understands, because one of the things about that, you make these relationships with people and you guys become the best of friends. And then as soon as their feelings get in the way and you didn't do what you were asked to do or what you normally did or what they wanted you to do, then they're calling the office and they're saying, hey, I want a new nurse. I want a new person. And you're looking like, okay, what happened to my client? And I'm just able to tell you, well, they asked us not to have you not come back. And we're in business. This is all we can do. And you did nothing wrong. You took care of them in excellence. But because you went and crossed these boundary lines and they have certain feelings about whatever was done or not done, or maybe you was given 150%, only supposed to give 100, and then that day that you didn't give 150% and only gave 100, they have a problem, and now you can't come back. So you really have to be mindful of that, what you're doing with your clients. Workplace safety, we follow the rules. Licensing standards, employees must understand and follow the safety health rules, take precautions necessary to protect time spent and our clients, immediately report incidents, injuries, hazards, unsafe practices, or conditions to a supervisor, not possess firearms or weapons in a client's premises or on our property, and not retaliate against or threaten anyone for the good faith reporting or supplying of information about workplace safety. So we're big on that. If you were doing wrong and someone, told someone, then we can't do retaliation, want to fight and carry on, things like that. I just need you to do right. Safe work practices. We practice safe work practices with tools, equipment, things like that. New employee job safety orientation. We will always make sure that you know how to comply safely. And this will be done in the residence, right? That you're going to work with a care supervisor. So that is you working with the care supervisor on your very first day. They're going to tell you how to work in a safe manner with your client and in the home. Any kind of specialized task or training from the New Jersey state laws is provided by each trainer to each person, depending on the job. Now, this is always based on the scope of work. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be a scope of work for everyone that works in every department. So though this handbook can be talking to CNAs, this handbook can talk to care coordinators, this handbook can talk to office staff, everyone will practice our policies and move accordingly, and requires authorization. If you ever do not feel safe to perform anything that you're doing, please let us know, okay? PPE. PPE. All employees at time spent must wear a mask or any other protective gear if directed by New Jersey public health professionals to do so. So personal protective equipment, whether it's gloves, masks, we always want to make sure that we comply. Keep on your PPE. If you're not required in the client's home to wear a mask, I always recommend to wear gloves, especially for different interactions with clients. That's keeping you safe and keeping your clients safe when you wear protective gloves. So you always want to wear them and any foreseeable risk of any hazards, but I like to wear them when I'm doing food, when I'm bathing, when I'm doing some of the things that's hands-on with me and a client. Now, you have protocol when lifting. So we always want to make sure that you practice proper protocol when you were assigned these positions. Maybe your supervisor showed you protocol on how to turn your client, or a care coordinator, depends on what you're doing, but there is protocol on how to transition, turn a client, things like that, transfer a client, things like that. So you want to make sure that you're following proper protocol. Any kind of supervisor assistance, that refers to any actions helping one another, giving support, things like that. You want to contact your supervisor. That person is the person who you want to go to first. So your chain of command is always going to be your supervisor and then your care director, not your care director first. And only way you go to your care director first is if you don't have a supervisor on call, and that is your care director. It will be Ms. Donegan. Partial assistance refers to moving a client from one position to another. So now you're getting different assistance, right? This is if you're moving someone with a supervisor. So let's talk about moving someone with a supervisor. So because this is us transferring clients. So whether you're moving someone with a supervisor and you're doing that task with the transfer belt and things like that, or a Hoyer lift, to partial assistance, which refers to you moving a client from one person to another, for example, from the chair to the bed. You know what I'm saying? Real easy. And you have the chair that's kind of helping you, or the wheelchair that's helping you, or some kind of other medical device that's helping you, the toilet chair or something like that. Or to complete assistance refers to moving the client, just you, and it may not include, or may include, a mechanical device like a Hoyer lift or something like that. So even in some of their paperwork, you will automatically know which route that we have to go. Now, if you are in a client's home and it says supervisor assistance on your paperwork, then when it's time to move a client, you'll have someone there. If you see supervisor assistance and you're not comfortable moving a client and it says supervisor assistance, call the office, because we will make sure that someone comes over, whether it's in the time of bath or whatever, to make sure that someone helps you to move that client, okay? Transporting clients in a vehicle, listen, I need you to speak to the office first. Always speak to the office first and make sure this log, make sure that we have some information, departure, arrival. We got to have some things in play before you actually go out with the client and do any kind of transporting with it, because there's some safety things that have to go in play with that, with transporting a client, and always report any incidences when you're out there doing that. So let's talk about following up with reporting incidences, because I want you to always report your incidences, little to big, okay? But we also got to identify the corrective measures of reporting, assess any losses, implement corrective measures, monitor effectiveness. And we want to stay on top of anything that you see, right? Any changes within your client. So if there's any changes that you see within your client, the office always want to know. We want to know of any emergency situations, unstable health of clients. We always want to make sure that we comply, that we know we're connected, that you give us a call, and that you know how to resolve any emergency. So in case of a fire, right? In case of a fire, employees are instructed to take the following actions: evacuate all people in the immediate area to an area of safety, close doors against smoke and heat, test the closed door by opening or feeling it, filling near the top. If the door is hot, look for another route out. If the room is filled with smoke, keep low to the floor. It'll help you breathe more easily. Now, remain calm. Keep everything together. Do not re-enter the room until the fire department says it's okay to do so. Make sure you have already called 911 and provide them the relevant information, and provide emergency first aid if it's required. Now, if we have a severe storm, disaster, or whatever like that, these are the actions. We're going to monitor what that weather looks like. We're going to pay attention to local TV, weather warnings, things like that, if we have some kind of bad weather coming. Now, always warning, severe warning. If they have a severe warning and it's significant to us to take action, then we're going to take shelter. We're going to always keep a watchful eye on the conditions, right? Staff should plan and prepare for possibilities of any severe warning. Employees should help people change their plans for travel, outdoor activities. Now, this is if your client has other things going on and it says, hey, we're about to have floods, we're about to do this, we're about to do that. And you may be asked to reschedule doctor's appointments, reschedule different things. So you just want to be mindful to watch what's going on and help your client accordingly. Advisory: weather conditions may cause inconvenience or difficulty when traveling. Staff should change plans for travel, outdoor activities, just different things. And that's just you really watching for yourself and watching for your client. Let's look at extreme cold, hypothermia. Extreme cold results when the temperature changes, right? And when removed body heat, most people will shiver, avoid extreme cold by paying attention to the wind chill factor. First aid for extreme heat: heat cramps, painful spasms in legs, belly muscles. They come from over exercising, prolonged sweat, and hot place. Keep clients cool. Give sips of water, lightly salted. Now, if your client has high blood pressure and things like that, do not put no salt in their water, period. Before you even do this, check with the office. Check with the office and see if it's okay for that client to have that. And this is if you're in a really hot situation. Heat exhaustion occurs when too much sweating causes depletion of body fluids. So we're going to treat this by keeping the person cool, giving them sips of water. Remember, only salted if you got an approval. Remove most of the clothing. Evaluate their legs and feet, right? And their breathing. So we want to make sure if that, and then we want to call 911. So these are things, if you see these things going on and they're in heat exhaustion, make sure you set the stage, get your clients comfortable, and then you call 911. Now, say it's a power failure in your client's home while you're there. We're going to report the power failure to the power company. So if you find your client's bill, or you know who the power company is, if you live in the area, you can Google it or whatever. Call the power company and report it. Use emergency supplies, flashlights, batteries, operated radios, things like that. You want to account for the well-being of the people receiving services, which is your client or anyone in the home. Now, inform people why plans and activities are changing and what is about to do to keep them safe. So if you're going to move into another room, if they're going to go outside, you have to instruct them. Just don't start moving people outside. Let them know what you're about to do Things happen while you're in a client's home. Life happens, weather's change, and this is if power fails if you're in the client's home. Emergency shelters. Home emergencies is met by seeking safety in emergency shelters. So depending on an emergency, you may need a shelter to take place or shelter outside of the disaster area. Follow directions of local emergency. Okay. If time allows, move the emergency shelter within 24 to 48 hours of supply. So make sure that you got everything packed up for them. If something like this happens, life happens. Okay. And you want to make sure that these people are taken care of. Medical, pills are all together. That's why it's good to have everything in one place so that you can grab it. Things like that. You want to, if it says, hey, you guys should seek shelter, we want to look for shelter in the event of natural disasters, power outages, and other events that may threaten the immediate health and safety of the people that we're taking care of. Okay. So emergency area evacuation may include weather, natural disasters, power failures, and other events that threaten the immediate health and safety of the people we're taking care of. You want to account for the well-being first. Make sure everybody's good, we safe, we feel good, nobody's panic themselves out. You also want to inform the people of the reason that we're evacuating. Hey, the lights went out. Hey, it's a storm. Hey, you got to inform people of why you're moving in a certain manner. That's very important. Follow directions from any administrative staff. So if we've given you directions, you want to follow that. If a police, fire department, emergency personnel has said this is what you should be doing, you want to follow that. Don't say, well, time spent told us to do this. If they said, I need you to do X, Y, Z, you follow that. You let us know. If you have the ability to call us and say, hey, they told us to go here. We just want to be able to keep up with keeping everybody in a good place. Books, information, clothing, grooming supplies, contact information. We want to make sure that we have that. Now, if you're out with a client and you have an accident, some kind of vehicle accident, you want to stop immediately and move off the road. You want to call 911 to report what's going on. And then you want to assist any first aid if it's needed, and protect the scene until the client comes. Then you can call the office. We want you to call the police first. If you have an accident, don't call us first. Call the police first. And then call us and tell us what's going on. We want you safe. We want you secure. We want the client secure, and we want you helped first. Then you call us. After a vehicle incident, right, with another vehicle, we're going to take down the information. We're going to name the driver. We're going to address the phone number of all the drivers. We want to make year and license of the vehicle and all the driver's license of everybody. The other insurance company, the damage to the vehicle, and any witnesses. Now, this is if you're on duty, because if you're on duty and you want to get compensated for all that's going on with you, it is in your best interest to make sure that you keep up with what is going on, okay? Do not admit fault to anyone in the incident. Provide statements to the police and to us. And the vehicle accident must be reported as soon and directly as possible to the insurance company or to a coordinator. So you want to make sure that you report it and do what you're supposed to do. Now, what about if a client falls? This is big. Client falls and injury. If a client has fallen before during the time an employee is in the home, employee is instructed not to attempt to help the client get up. Do you see that word not? N-O-T. If the client cannot get up on his or her own, then we'll call 911. Let me explain this. And you might say, well, why? I want to help this person get up. Now, depending on how they fell, they can have broken bones, all of that. Now, this is a minor slip, like, little 2 inches, that's one thing. But to fall, we need to make sure that you picking this client up is not going to do any more damage than that fall did. So we do not want you to pick them up. Now, if you had to call the ambulance and they picked them up and assessed that the client was fine and put them in the bed, fine. But do not pick that client up because any additional movement could result in further injury. So you are not instructed to call the family or any of that. No one but 911. You call us. We'll call the family. We'll let the family know, but you call 911 to get this woman up, this man up, to get them in a safe place, to get them off this floor, to see if they're injured. That is the first the first priority is to make sure our clients are safe. So emergency incident response is our policy to report, to respond, which is first, to report, and then to review, okay? That is incident reports means an occurrence which involves a person that requires immediate response, which is not part of ordinary provision. So that's serious injury of a person, death of a person, any medical emergencies, unexpected serious illness, significant unexpected change, or an illness of a medical condition. We call it 911, physical treatment or hospitalization. Any mental health crisis that requires an employee to call 911 or mental health crisis or intervention. An act involving a person that requires an employee to call 911. So we have to get that first, but then we also have to file an incident report. Everything has to go on paper. There's reporting that has to be done. And incident reports will be completed by an employee involved as soon as possible and after the occurrence, but no later than 2 hours after the occurrence. So you can't say, well, the next day I'm filing this report about what happened yesterday. That doesn't work. 2 hours. We need to know the details of the incident because we're working on the back end about that incident when you're long gone. So we need to know the details, and the incident report has to be filed. A written incident report will include the name of the person involved in the incident, date and time and location, a description of the incident, and a description of the response to the incident. It means how we handled the incident, and the name of the staff of the person who responded to the incident. That is all you'll have to fill out. And there will be an incident link added to our website so that you can go straight to the website, click, fill it out, and you're done. But it has to be one filled out within 2 hours, right? All incidents must be reported to the person's legal rep or designated emergency contact and care coordinator within 4 to 8 hours of the incident occurring while personal support services are provided. Now, this is our teams. So if you are a supervisor, nurse, care coordinator, and on the top spectrum of things, then you have 4 to 8 hours to report this to a family member. This is not the CNA, the home care worker. This is the team, supervisor, staff, care coordinator, home, anybody on that level, director. We have 4 to 8 hours to get that to family, okay? Infection control, aging and infection is important for all employees of time spent to be aware that as adults age, they can become more vulnerable, okay, to infections due to changes in their body. So these are some things that we need you to look at. Breaks in the skin, wounds, trouble chewing and swallowing and drinking, difficulty moving, loss of bladder and bowel movement, mental status changing, some kind of impairments. Maybe they don't know who you are today. Maybe, and if that is something that is changing, we need to know if they're going into dementia. These are things we need to know. Medical conditions such as lung disease and diabetes, inability to clean their hands and take deep breaths when you ask them to, right? Infections may occur when the following are present: bacteria, viruses, mold, and fungus. So if you see these things in the home, mildew, mold, please let us know, because some of the changes in their health can contribute and be connected to some of those things. Germs are present in our skin and within our bodies and the tissues. In addition, germs can be found in the air. So we want to make sure that if these little things that we can't see aren't really taking our clients out, you know what I mean? So please pay attention and let us know when you see things that are going on around the house or some changes in some of the mucous membranes with the client, meaning their nose is running or their eyes are dark or, there's breaks in the skin. Please pay attention to the client and let us know of the changes. Don't just say, okay, well, they're old. No, things are changing for a reason. So we need to know if it's something that we have to maintain, fix, remedy, call, a doctor in, or what we need to do. Most commonly types of infection is urinary tract, lungs, skin and soft tissue, and gastrointestinal system. So infection spreads. Germs can be found in the hands, gloves of care workers, surfaces. That's why we always want you to maintain washing your hands all the time, wearing gloves, because you don't know what you're bringing from the outside in that you just don't see, right? And we want to make sure that we're not getting our people sicker. We're not making our situations worse, right, for our people. So when you're coughing, you're spreading germs. When you're touching other people, touching services, you're spreading germs. When you're touching bodily fluids and secretion, that's spreading. So that's why it's very important that you wear and you practice PPE, that you wear protective equipment, that you wear gloves and things like that. Now, let's look at signs of infection, okay? Care staff members of time spent will report any signs of infection in or around clients, including themselves while on duty in the home care. So even if you're sick, we want to know. We don't want you going to a person's house and you're sick, okay? So it's very important that you share with us if you're not feeling well, and things like that. And sometimes don't be worried. Well, if I tell you I'm not feeling well, you may take me off the clock. We will take you off the clock. But if you tell us, depending on the circumstance, our office may have something for you to do virtually, or we might be able to send someone in there and shift some work around for you so that you really don't miss some things. But we have to know, because it does not help us to send you into a client's home and you're sick. So if you're coughing, you're congested, sore throat, vomiting, diarrhea, discolor mucus, whether it's you or the client, we need to know. So these are signs of infection. For the client: pus, rash, redness, loss of taste or smell, change in mental status. Symptoms of infection: nausea, pain, feeling feverish, burning when it yearns. So whether it's you or the client, we could be passing these things back and forth if you don't let us know. So in order for us to keep the client safe, we want to make sure that we practice PPE. And if you see these signs with your client, please let the office know. Your care team protocol, okay? Cleaning hands with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap water, also known as practicing hand hygiene. Wearing gloves and other personal protective equipment. Keeping the environment clean and professional. Properly disinfecting surfaces. Handling waste safely. Avoiding touching surfaces. Covering your mouth and nose when you sneeze. Do not work when sick. We just talked about that. Staying up to date on all recommended vaccines. Care workers will assist seniors clients to reduce risk of infection by cleaning your hands before meals and after you use the toilet. Yes, after you use the toilet, please wash your hands. Cover your mouth and your nose when you're sneezing and coughing. Maintain personal hygiene and include oral care. Take all recommended vaccines. Eat healthy foods. Stay hydrated. Adequate rest. Now, let's talk hand hygiene. This is big because this is where everything that you're bringing coming from, and you putting your hands on clients, you're touching their belongings, pill bottles, clothes, things like that. So we need you to have clean hands. Wash your hands for 20 seconds when using an alcohol-based or hand sanitizer. In addition, employees are to change gloves frequently. Change them. Don't just wear the same gloves. Change them as often as you need, okay? Wash hands with soap for at least 20 seconds before handling food, after using the bathroom. If your hands are visually soiled, wash them. If your hands have had contact with blood or body fluids, wash them. Before and after assisting a client with going to the bathroom, wash them. If you have rings, and they can trap germs and get caught on clothing equipment. If a client worker has rings and wedding rings and things like that, let's wash our hands a little bit more often, okay? Dry hands thoroughly with paper towels. Don't touch dirty sink handles with clean hands. Y'all remember that, because we'll wash our hands and then go right for the handle, and it kind of defeated the purpose. Hand sanitizer may be used in all other hand hygiene situations not mentioned. Hand sanitizer don't make your hands clean. I repeat, hand sanitizer doesn't make your hands clean. It sanitizes stuff, but it don't make your hands. I need you to wash your hands. I need you to wash your hands. Make sure to wash your hands. Make sure client's place of residence is stocked with alcohol wipes or hand sanitizer or alcohol-based soap, whatever, but we want to make sure that your hands stay clean. Home care supervisor will determine how and where staff will clean their hands. A care coordinator will post signs to encourage hand hygiene, okay? Disinfecting of surfaces, should be routine. If you're in a client's home, this should be something that you're doing routinely on a regular basis. Okay, this includes cleaning and disinfecting high touch areas. These are your doorknobs, closets, drawers, knobs, indoor spaces that's in and out that you're touching. Flat top surfaces, the wheelchair, the cane, constantly touching. Bed rails, electric positioning buttons, the buttons on the bed rail. Landline phones and cell phones, call lights, call buttons, remote controls and things like that. Personal care wipe packages. So if they got packages that they're getting wipes out of, and pack away all small items in a safe place. So these are things that you need to kind of either wipe down or spray down, okay? Our protocols when it comes to cleaning, gloves and masks should be worn if daily products are toxic and harmful. This is when you're cleaning. Gloves will be changed between rooms. So every time you go to a different room to wipe down or clean down or do some dusting, let's change those gloves. Appropriate use of cleaning products to the right area. Make sure that the product that you are using stays wet on the surface for the time needed to kill the germs. No chemicals will be used and mixed in combination so it makes somebody's eyes and all that kind of stuff go, start running. And you want to make sure that you put these chemicals away. Lock them back up under the sink. Don't leave them out. Just pay attention if you're cleaning to put things back. When it comes to your PPE for staff, you should be wearing, in order for you to prevent any kind of mucous membranes, stuff like that, you always should maintain good PPE practices. All care staff should be wearing gloves and things like that whenever they're dealing with anything with body fluids, right? You always want to take standard precautions. Home care supervisors are going to make sure that they oversee this. They're going to make sure to guide you and to train you, but they're also going to make sure to rate you in your training based on how you practice your PPE, right? And that includes your gloves, your gowns or your scrubs, your masks, and any kind of goggles or eye protective wear if that is a part of your job, right? It all depends on what it is that you're doing, because certain jobs may not require you to have to do gloves, but if you're going to use them, you have to use protective equipment once and then throw it away. You do not use the same protective equipment for the care of more than one client. So you can't just take gloves and go place to place. Change your mask if it becomes moist or wet. Change your gloves when they become soiled or you contaminate and touch them in an area. And also perform good hand washing. After you remove your gloves, I would still, before I put them on and after I move them off, I would still always wash my hands. So let's close this out with isolating the spread of disease, because it's very important that we contain stuff and not spread stuff. The care coordinator of time spent will notify the family of any kind of thing that's going on. If you're sick, if they're sick, if the client is sick, we will not have them getting you sick. A care team will communicate that if we need to replace the staff, if a client needs to be placed in a different room, if certain things need to come in place because the person is sick, we're going to let family know, we're going to let you know, because the care coordinator is responsible to let you know what's going on with the client. We're not going to have you walk into a sick situation and the client is really bad off or anything like that. Respiratory hygiene, vaccinations. We want you to stay home if you're sick. You're going to go home if you're sick and make sure you take care of yourself. We encourage you to stay in the rooms we want you to stay home. You know what I'm saying? If you're sick, okay? Period. If you're with fever or anything like that, we want you to stay home. But if you are thinking that you're sick, we want you to contact your home care supervisor. If you coughing, anything like that, visible signs of sickness, we want you to call your care supervisor. Okay? So even with your person, if you think that your person is sick, okay, then we want you to stay out of the room. If you really think that maybe while you was away, you're not sure, they're coughing, they're having crazy breathing and stuff like that, report that to us. We don't want you sick, or immediately put on a mask and report that to us, okay? Soiled linen. Care staff will treat all soiled linen as infectious. Heat and chemical disinfection will be used. Soiled and clean linen will be color-coded in different bins and color bags. So if you have soiled linen, it should be separate, put in a separate bag, colored, or washing machine or whatever, but you want to treat it as if it's infected. You want to always make sure that you're using precautions. and safety measures. When you have linen, make sure that there is enough linen to be able to put more linen on the bed. Transport clean linens in covered bins. Things like that. You want to minimize the spread of what you're doing. Okay. Transmission precautions, contact precautions. You want to wear gloves, gowns if needed, safety guards if needed when dealing with infection. If you're dealing with anyone that's sick. So how are we doing with contact precautions? Care workers will always clean hands before entering and exiting a home. Wear gloves and a gown when entering. Now, this is if the person is sick. Share equipment will clean and disinfect before each use. So if we are doing blood pressure readings and different things like that, we want to make sure that we wipe it down every time we finish. If we're checking blood pressure, if we're checking sugar, if we're doing this, whatever equipment that we're using, we're going to throw that stick away. We're going to wipe down the machine and we're going to put it back. Breather machine, we're going to use it. We're going to wipe it down, disinfect it, and we're going to put it up. So we want to make sure that we wipe down these machines as well. If you have droplet precautions, care workers will wear a mask in addition to standard precautions. Clients should stay in a designated area in the place of the residence. If a client must leave the room, the client must wear a mask. So consider using both droplet and contact precautions if the respiratory virus causing the illness or unknown, or if the resident has nausea or vomiting. So if you get a client that is starting to bleed out or anything like that, we have to go straight into PPE mode. You got to call the office, but you have to go into protective gear because you might be already a little comfortable with the client, but now we have to be cautious. That is what we have to do. Airborne precautions. Wash your hands. Caseworkers will enter isolated room only if necessary. We want to make sure that you do the N95 mask if you're going to be working with the client. And we want to make sure that you stay safe. Contact a home care supervisor and alert them if you become in close contact with a client who has been possibly exposed to some type of a virus or bacteria. We really want to make sure that we stay on top of that. So it helps that you're the boots on the ground. You guys are boots on the ground. You are working with our clients, and you are the first line of defense to let us know, hey, Miss Brown is breathing funny. Hey, this is going on. So if you don't let us know, we won't know, okay? Because if there's an outbreak, we can't, it's harder for us to handle something while we're in it. While it's after it's spread it so way out, you have a bunch of staff sick. We don't want it to get to that. We want us to kind of be as proactive as we can. So we want to quickly identify any clusters of infection, right? We want to keep the environment clean and safe. We want to make sure that disinfectant is put out there where it's supposed to be at. We want to make sure that precautions are safe and staff is reported. You know what I'm saying? And families are notified and things are done so that this doesn't go any worse than it has to go, right? We want to be able to control something until we figure out what it is. Because if it's a cold, we can manage that. But if it's something more than that, we might need other people to bring in to help us to mandate this. So one of the things that we ask our staff to do is to get a TB test. So if you have already got it, you may be good. If you haven't got yours yet, you will be asked to get a tuberculosis test, excuse me. And it's a quick little stick. You'll come back, they'll put it in your arm, in your wrist. You'll come back in 2 or 3 days to see if the bubble came or if it's in, if it shows that you need to be seen, they'll be able to read that in the reaction from the shot. So this is something that you can go to any urgent care hospital, your primary doctor, and get that done. Now, if there has been an outbreak, you're feeling crazy, they're feeling crazy, you may be asked to provide a COVID test before you can come back to work. Because we have been in that space since 2020, that is one of the requirements if it is presumed that could be an issue. So if we think, or if a client thinks that they could have COVID, then both parties, if not one party, will have to get a COVID test before service can resume. And you can get that done in 3 to 5 days. It just depends on where you're going to get that done. Now, client care, employees at times spent are instructed to observe, again, important changes in the client, you got to let us know. You got to let us know what's going on. So let's talk the daily caregiving report, because we need to know if something changes from the, you'll have a report that you'll go by every day. And in that report, we'll need to know from client's name, date of visit, the services that were provided in that care plan, right? The food intake that this client had for the day, report anything, if they had any appointments, doctor's appointments or things like that. Eliminating chart, if they moved their bowels, if they had, any kind of things like that going on. We want to know how things are going with their internal. Note any physical activity or participation. If they played with you chess, let us know. We want to know if they're engaging, if they're moving around, if they got up and went to the porch and sat out on the porch. It might be small to you, but hey, Mr. Wilson is moving. We want to know those things, right? So any observances that you have with your client, abilities, physical abilities, behaviors, you say, hey, Mr. Brown is just sad. He's usually pretty happy, but he's sad right now. Or he's angry, he's frustrating, he's really bitter, he's screaming, he's angry. We need to know, right? Don't just chalk it up as Mr. Brown is having a bad day. Put it in your notes, because that is a part of your caregiving report. We want to know how Mr. Brown is feeling. So then we're able to tell the family, well, hey, he's been a little frustrated for the past week, but he's a little bit, a little anxious. So he's had a little bit of anxiety, or he's forgot our nurse's name several times. We need to know, how Mr. Brown is changing, because you are his caregiver. Show us that you care. Give us the information about Mr. Brown. Any supplies that are running low in the home, let us know. Mr. Brown's insurance is running out. His diapers are running out. His food is low. Let us know. If it consists, we have to tell the family, or we might can pick those things up for Mr. Brown. And make sure that you sign your timesheets. So you have to sign these things, okay? We want to stay on top of it. Elder abuse, there will be none. But we do want you to make sure to report to us if you see some, because you're not in the home all the time. You're in the home, per a few hours a day. So we want to make sure that if you see something, say something, okay? Do not just see things and say, okay, it's not any of my business. So here's some signs. Physical abuse. If there's any injuries, and the person is groggy, missing teeth or things like that, or they want to be, to themselves. Emotional abuse. Somebody can be talking to them, not in a good manner. You see depression. They are not willing to answer your questions because another family member has been threatening them or mistreating them. Let us know these things. We want to know about neglect, because you're only in the home for a few minutes. So if the family is unsafe, if the client is unsafe, they have poor nutrition, bed sores or lack of supervision, or they're not getting taken care of when outside of the time that you're not there, we need to know that, even down to financial abuse, to unpaid bills, unpaid utility bills. You're sitting in the dark, because, somebody didn't pay something, or somebody is stealing the person's money. Let us know. We can't do it so much, but there are some things that we can do. So please let us know if you see financial abuse or even sexual abuse. That's very important, because we are now advocates for our clients. So it's very important that you let us know. Employee discipline. Please, please, please stay on top of following the rules and things like that, because we will take disciplinary action if something comes about, from verbal warnings to written warnings to suspensions without pay to termination. And we really don't want to have to go that route. We're so excited that you've decided to join the Time Spent family. So we really want to make sure that everybody follows the rules, that everybody, is treated fairly and things like that. But we do want to make sure that people get disciplinary action if something prevails itself. So we just want to make sure that at all times everything is followed, and we work together. But we do also make sure that we resolve things fairly. So you want to also make sure that if you have any problems, any questions, or you feel like you're not working in the best possible space, that you let a supervisor know, because if an employee presents problems to an immediate supervisor, an incident occurs, we want to resolve that. If a supervisor responds to problems poorly, and is not working with you, fairly, we want to know. You want to make sure that you contact, first a home care supervisor. And if you're not able to work with a supervisor, then you want to contact a care coordinator, and talk to a care coordinator about your problem. Now, you can put your problem in writing to us, and we will definitely address the problem. And if we can't find resolve within those manners, then we're going straight to the top, which is our president, Ms. Donegan, and we're going to make sure that she nips it in the bud. So you will definitely be heard all the times. Please always understand that we are always going to resolve the problem. Now, if this problem needs us to eliminate and to and terminate the employee, then some of the actions or the examples that will be connected to this are sabotage of the company or client property, breach of confidentiality, if you go AWOL on a client, insubordination, substandard quality of work, stealing, robbery, burglary, or dishonesty, conflict of interest, trying to report to work while under the influence of drugs or anything like that, misrepresentation of credentials, or soliciting for any purpose to our clients. If you're trying to sell stuff, all that kind of stuff during work times, you could be fired for that. So these are some of the things that you could be fired for. Now, steps for employment termination, we're going to do warnings first. We're not going to just up and fire you, but depending on how and the situation, we can kind of take that on a case-by-case basis. But we will speak to you first. We will do a written warning. We will, take it through a final warning and suspension without pay. And then, hey, the last may be the termination of employment. Now, you can volunteer to in your own employment. We do have resignation is a voluntary act. Okay. Now, if you decide, say, hey, this is not for me, I'm moving, I found a better job. The only thing that we do ask is that you give us at least 14 days notice. We want to be able to put someone else in that position and train if possible. If you want to, and you always want to keep good bridges, right? You always want to make sure that you're able to have a good relationship with past employers. So that's one of the things that we ask is that you give us at least 14 days notice. And we'll make sure that we got, that we want to send you off with a bang, you know what I'm saying? Because, we don't want to hold you back from your next career or elevating your life, or a move or a big move. So we want to celebrate you, but if you have to go, we want to just ask that you give us 14 days. Now, last but not least, because I gave you so much information today, and again, I am super excited that you have joined the Time Spent team, is our acknowledgement of receipt. So everyone by the sound of my voice that is in this room that have been hired with Time Spent will be required to sign a form saying that they have read the handbook. Because again, it is your job to not only read the handbook, but you can also watch the video as well. So reading the handbook is essential to your hire, because again, you're going to have a quiz that's going to ask you a few questions. So please take the time, skim it, take a couple of days, or if you don't want to skim it, take the time to watch the video, because I've skimmed it to kind of give you some information. So again, welcome to the Time Spent family. We're super excited to have you as a part of our family, and continue being great, and welcome to the family.